Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Saturday, it is the weekend. I hope you're having a good one wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Thank you as always for joining me. Plenty to get stuck into today. Of course, we're going to talk about Noni Madueke as his move to Arsenal moves ever closer. He is, well, actually, I'm going to say he is on his way back to UK. He'll be back in the UK now. He has been given permission to fly back to London to have his medical and complete his move to Arsenal. Loads of reaction, as you can imagine, to this one. So I'll share some of what you guys have been saying on Madueke as that deal gets very, very close to happening. £52 million all in, a bit less than that up front. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about Leandro Trossard. Yesterday we said reports in Turkey suggesting that deal had been agreed between Fenerbahce and him. Now it seems that deal could be off, according to the same reports in Turkey, who's saying that Fenerbahce cannot agree a deal with Arsenal for Trossard. Got lots of reaction from you guys on different bits and pieces as well. Arsenal continuing to train over in Manga as they get ready for their pre-season tour, which is less than a couple of weeks away now. Fly out to Singapore. So plenty to get stuck into. Just to flag to my Inside Arsenal members, I did say yesterday I was going to put out the second helping of my Arsenal Life series. Decided to put that back until Monday. Now it's still a mad day yesterday. I just didn't get time to do it. And I don't really want to put it out over the weekend. I want to give it when people are really, really busy and haven't got much time to watch or listen to it because it is, sort of hour-long extended show. So I'm going to put it out later on at the start of next week so that you can have more time to enjoy that. So that is coming. Don't you worry about it. Right, let's talk about Noni Madueke, shall we? Now, I had my say about him in yesterday's show, so I don't really need to go over again how I'm feeling about this. I was going to say potential move, but move because it's looking, for all intents and purposes, that this is definitely going to be happening now. He's on his way back. Well, he's flown back. He was given permission by Chelsea to leave their squad where they're over at the Club World Cup preparing for the final against PSG. He was given permission to fly back to London to undergo his medical ahead of that £52 million move. Enzo Maresca, the Chelsea boss, was talking about it. He was asked about it yesterday. He said, Noni is in contact with a new club, and I guess he is going to be announced in the next hours. Selling him to a rival, I said in one of the last press conferences that if players wants to leave, then it is difficult for the club and for the manager. Noni decided to leave. Nobody told Noni he had to leave. If he is happy, we are happy. So that was what Enzo Maresca had to say about Madueke and the fact that he has now left the Chelsea camp and flown to the UK. So £52 million, it's looking like it's around 48 million up front. I think that was reported yesterday by Hand of Arsenal on Twitter, X, sorry, not Twitter. Still, I'm always going to call it Twitter. 48.5 million, I think the sort of initial fee, and then a few add-ons taking up to £52 million. As I said yesterday, I'm not the biggest fan of this deal, but look, it's happening now. So my view on it is put that to one side. As much as I'm not the greatest fan of this deal, and the fact that this amount of money has been spent on this player when feel like could have been spent elsewhere, he's going to be an Arsenal player. And so as soon as someone pulls on that red and white shirt, then he's certainly going to have my support as a fan because Arsenal are going to need him. He definitely fills a gap in an area of the squad that Arsenal needed to fill. We've been crying out for Saka, proper Saka backup for a long time. I know Ethan played that role last year, but let's face it, Ethan's not a right winger. You can ask him that. He did it well last year at times when he filled in, but Arsenal now have that absolute backup competition cover for Saka. Allows us not to run Saka into the ground, which is so important, as we found out last season when he ended up blowing his hamstring out and missed half of the season, and Arsenal could barely cope with that. So now they have a player who will allow them to do that. We've been asking for it a long time. They've done it. Put the money to one side, put the fact he's a Chelsea player to one side. For my view, now he's an Arsenal player. He's going to get my support anyway. And sorry, I'm just trying to find the reaction. I was just bringing up a picture of Victor Gyökeres there, who clearly is not the slide I was looking for. Here we go. A few bits and pieces on sort of Madueke. Charlie says, if we end the window with Gyökeres, Eze and Madueke, then I'm very happy with that. But if the Madueke signing prevents Eze, then the club has absolutely lost the plot. Mike says, Charles, I can't believe some of these so-called Arsenal supporters. They think they know more about football than Mikel Arteta. Mind-boggling. I have complete trust in him and his player decisions. He knows what he's doing. I don't think he wants to lose his job. Hope the move went well and you and the family settle in quickly. Thank you very much, Mike. I am Stormy says, look, if anyone attacks a player directly, then shame on you. It isn't his fault he was signed. My dislikes will always be directed at the organisation, not the player. And I feel no shame in voicing my opinion towards the Cronkies or Berta who make these choices. They should never be threatened, but no one escapes life without criticism. These are elderly men. If they can't take a little pressure, then they picked a strange line of work. Johnny says, hope the move is going well, Charles. Noni Madueke, it seems Arteta has been after his profile of attacker for a long time. See Mudryk and Nico Williams. Fast, brings chaos and crashes into the box. He's also an England regular and young. Do you think Arteta can make him a real success? Do I think he can? Well, I hope he can, especially when Arsenal are spending that amount of money on him. I hope he does become a real success. Look, when you look at the underlying numbers and the data behind Madueke, and I'm not a massive fan, I'm not a data bod, never have been. I much prefer to sort of do the old eye test, call me old fashioned, whatever it is. Speak to James Benge, who I'm sure we will be speaking to next week in Inside Arsenal Extra Time, and he'll have a very different viewpoint on Madueke and what he brings, because he's very much, likes to be sort of led by the data, and fair play to him and others for that. But I kind of more on my eyes. But when you do look at the data when it comes to Madueke, you can see why Arsenal do want to sign him. And he's exact, as you point out, exact sort of profile that Arsenal have been looking for in a winger. He kind of adds to the squad, certainly adds to the wide areas threat that Arsenal just don't have, the type of threat that Arsenal don't have in terms of dribbling with the ball, crashing into the box, the amount of shots he gets away, the positions he gets himself into. It's just all about polishing him up, making him from an unpolished diamond to a polished diamond. Then that's going to be down to Arteta. That's going to be down to the coaching staff. It's also going to be down to the amount of minutes he's going to play, because let's face it, he is coming in as backup to Bukayo Saka, which isn't easy when it comes to getting the sort of minutes you need to be at your very best, because he's not going to play that often, you would think, anyway. Because we know that Bukayo Saka, when he's fit, he tends to start, although this move hopefully allows him in certain games not to have to do that. So do I think Arteta can make him a real success? It wouldn't shock me. I hope so. That's the plan, obviously. We could just hope he can take those sort of numbers and what Arsenal have been looking at in terms of the analytics and the data, and why they were convinced they should be signing this player for this amount of money. And by the way, Arsenal kind of feel like this is a good deal. They're looking at other players who have moved. Manga yesterday went for more money from Nottingham Forest to Newcastle. We saw João Pedro go for 60 million or something to Chelsea fairly recently. There are other examples of this sort of player moving, this sort of profile. And Arsenal are looking at it. I know we're all questioning the money, but I don't think Arsenal are questioning the money too much. They're looking at it as a pretty good deal for a player of his age, what he brings, England international. They're looking at it a pretty good deal. So ultimately, we'll have to wait and see who gets proven right in that regards. Bellu says, hi, Charles, about Madueke. I believe we've been asking for Saka backup for at least the last 4 transfer windows. He has 2 years Premier League experience, 23, England international, fast, 1.82 m, good in transition, which we desperately need, plays both wings, willing to be Saka's understudy. Could you name a player with a better profile who could do all, but also willing to be backup? Or don't we need Saka backup? I don't get it. Fans try to make maths on the finance involved make me laugh. I think we get qualified people in the club who know the club's financial situation more than we do. I think this feels less important because of the players we've been linked to, Rodrigo, Williams. Getting Eze, Gyökeres and Madueke without selling an attacking player is an excellent piece of business. Well, we've got to get Eze and Gyökeres first before we can celebrate that. And as I said yesterday, although I'm not a massive fan of this deal, I'm not going to be massively bothered by it as long as Arsenal now do what they need to do in the remaining weeks of the transfer window and get the stardust that we need. Go and get the striker, go and get another attacking option who really can make a difference. Eze, for example. Van Biddy there says, I'm betting that in 2 seasons' time, Madueke will be worth £80 million. That would be nice, Van Biddy. Right, moving on. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the pictures from yesterday's training session in Manga. Players seem to be having fun in the sun over there. Everyone's seemingly involved, as we spoke about yesterday. The players who sort of ended the season with injury issues involved. You can see there the picture of Gabriel in training with Bukayo Saka. So he looks absolutely perfectly ready for the start of pre-season, which is a massive, massive boost. That was the hope. last year at the end of the season, and obviously the rehab he's had during the summer has worked very well. We're not sure on Duran Timber yet. Not seen him any pictures of sort of action, one-on-one training. He's out there, he's doing work in the gym. We've seen pictures of him doing that. Not seen him out on the grass in sort of full training with the rest of the squad yet. So we'll wait and see on him and whether he's going to be available. But Saliba's fit, everyone. So the squad's looking good. And that's great. Norgaard's out there. Zubamendi's out there. Kepa's out there. Obviously the new signings, which is a real boost for Arsenal. Get them in early doors and get them off to Singapore and make them feel part of the group. But good to see the players out there enjoying themselves. Just talking about Leandro Trossard, as I said yesterday, the reports from Turkey about Trossard yesterday were that he'd agreed personal terms with Fenerbahce, and that Fenerbahce were now going to be talking to Arsenal. Within 24 hours, those reports have now turned to Fenerbahce, have stalled on the deal because Arsenal aren't lowering their asking price for Leandro Trossard. They're going to move on to Plan B, Plan C. And I've even seen some reports now saying that Arsenal are advancing in contract talks with Leo Trossard. As I said yesterday, unless a really good bid comes in for Trossard, I just wouldn't be rushing him out the door. I think he's such a good player. He's such a handy player. He plays in so many positions. And is just a really great squad player, who's always fit, always available, was involved in every single game, I think, last season, or every single Premier League game last season. That availability is so, so crucial, especially when you're a top quality player like Trossard is. So I wouldn't be rushing him out the door by any means. Unless a massive offer came in, I certainly wouldn't be rushing him out the door on that. I'm going to speak about a few players now. A few questions now before I wrap this one up. UBAYM says, hi, Charles. Have you seen any other top team other than Arsenal buying squad players? I think as long as Arsenal continue buying squad players, we cannot be top. What do you think? I've seen loads of teams been buying squad players. Look at Man City's last couple of transfer windows. Who did they sign in January? Nico Gonzalez, was it? From I can't remember where they signed him from, somewhere in Spain. Was it Atletico? And a squad player for me. Victor Reis in January as well. Squad player. City have been doing that. Chelsea have been doing it. Chelsea continue to do it because they stockpile so many players that it's a squad, but they'll rotate it and they'll use different players. So I have seen other teams doing that. Look at Liverpool last season. They only didn't sign anyone last summer. They ended up signing Chiesa, who was very much a squad player. So no, I don't. I do see that, and I also think that Arsenal's window's still got a hell of a long way to go. Yes, the players so far, barring Zubamendi, who's obviously a guaranteed starter, the other players they've bought squad players, but they're absolutely necessities. They had to go and buy a backup goalkeeper. Had to be done. They've done that. They had to go up and replace Jorginho. They've done that with Norgaard. Had to get some sort of backup to Saka or another wing option. They've done that in Madueke. Yes, to squad players, but there's still room for them to go out and sign the real sort of key players, first 11 players potentially, that I think we all think that they potentially need. But even if they come in, the Gyökeres, I'm still looking at Gyökeres and thinking he's going to be a squad player. I don't think he's a guaranteed starter if that deal gets over the line because of Kai Havertz. If Arsenal go and sign Eze, I still don't think he's a guaranteed starter because Arsenal are going to have other options who they can play on the left wing and who they can play in the left 8 positions. But it's just another kind of squad player that just makes the squad that much better, raises the floor that much higher, that gives Arteta the options that he didn't have last season to really sort of attack the Premier League. Right, a couple more now. Thang says, have you seen Norgaard's kids showing up in an Arsenal kit and him tearing up? That was beautiful. That's what I love about this club. Not your fancy signing, but the passion is real. That's what matters. Yeah, I did. I put this on my Facebook page yesterday, actually. If you haven't seen this video yesterday, it really, really is very, very special. You can see how much I spoke about yesterday, how it's a nice story for Norgaard after the career he's had to make a move like this. You saw his quotes about hearing the Champions League anthem and what it's going to mean to him. And that video we saw yesterday, I thought was really, really great, of Norgaard in the sort of behind the scenes clip when he's around the club and he's doing his photos with Stuart and he's showing off his shirt. And then you see his son, probably about 6-7 years old, walk in full Arsenal shirt with Norgaard on the back and comes up, hugs him, and you can just see Norgaard tears up. It's a really, really emotional moment for him. I think it's a lovely thing. It's all about, it's what football's all about, even at this very, very top level. When you're an international, when you've been a Premier League player for years like Norgaard, still you get those sort of moments when you see your son in a kit with your name on it, that sort of thing. And it doesn't matter how much money you've got, how long you've played football for, it still just gets you right there. And I just think it was a lovely video. If you haven't seen it yet, as I said, it's on my Facebook page. You can see it in other places as well. Arsenal put it out. It's a really, really nice video. And as Thang Thang's there, it's just sort of a little reminder of the things that matter, real things that matter in the midst of all the sort of transfer madness that we've got going on at the moment. Here's one from Gunner for Life to wrap this one up. It says, hey, Charles, congrats on the move. So I did see in the Arsenal pictures at Manga that Reece Nelson and Sambi are there. One person I haven't seen is Ethan Nwaneri. And I noticed, oddly enough, that his name isn't listed on the website under the team's header and player list. Is there something going on there that you know of? I would hate to be losing him. No, I haven't even checked that his name's not on the squad list actually yet. But I mean, in terms of why he's in the Manga, there's no issue with that. He's not in the Manga. He's not in the Manga yet because he's been playing for England under 21s at the internationals at the Euros this summer. So he's got extra time off. So he's not been asked to come back yet. The club want to give him 3 full weeks of holiday and rest after the Euros before they bring him back into the squad. So that's the reason why he is not there yet. I don't know why his name's sort of not listed yet on the first team page, but I'm sure it will be at some point. But there's certainly nothing to look into in terms of why he's not with the squad in the Manga. That's purely down because he's just still on an extended holiday because his season ran so deep because of the Euros that he was involved with. And that's it from me today, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I really do appreciate it. Have a fantastic start to your weekend or end to your Saturday, wherever you're listening or watching to this around the world. No, the time zones are very, very different for everyone. And I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Let's see what happens in the next 24 hours or so. Take it easy, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.